Did you know that you can actually ferment chlorella? Now,
well, yes, I did know that, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Idiots that think fermented chlorella is as good, if not better, than the real thing. Dr. Bob McCauley going to take on this one.
Did you know that you can actually ferment chlorella?
So here's Dr. Mercola, Joseph Mercola, medical doctor. No lab coat for this guy. And he has been promoting chlorella for many, many years, which is great. And he used to sell something that came out of China, and it wasn't really such good quality after all. I think it might even been organic. But, you know, I will tell you all the time, stuff out of China, you know, watch yourself. So now that kind of went south, and everybody stopped selling it. So now he's selling the fermented stuff. So my first question is, yeah, you're selling chlorella, but I mean fermented chlorella. Why? Why would you want to ferment it?
Now, why would you want to do that? Well, chlorella typically cannot be digested because it's got a tough cell wall. But when you ferment it, it becomes far more digestible. With many
Really? More digestible. I wonder how they know that. Did they? I didn't see any studies on their website. I didn't see any reasons in particular. Just a sort of a claim it's much more digestible. Why is that? Is it maybe because they boil it for a couple hours to bring down the phosphobides, which is a derivative of chlorophyll, and if you don't do that, you get these skin rashes? Is that why? Because I sell the regular stuff. You know, the stuff that's been growing on the planet for like billions of years in sunlight. And what we have to do, we have to crack open the cell. I've mentioned this before. You have to open it up somehow, but not with fermented chlorella because they boil it for a couple hours. There's other questions, and you can look at one of my videos about, there's a lot of things about fermented chlorella that we really kind of are left in the dark about, including the fact that the chlorella is always in the dark and it never sees the light of day.
With many chlorella supplements, you have to make sure that they don't contain contaminants or pollutants. Since chlorella is typically grown outside, it can easily become polluted by air pollution.
Well, the stuff that you really need to worry about is you know, spirulina and chlorella come from China. And quite frankly, that's what he used to sell, and it had a big problem, so he stopped selling it. Okay, and it came from the southern island of Japan, of China, called Hainan Island. That's where he was getting it from. So at any rate, and then it found it had a bunch of contamination in it. So if you're worried about contamination, look at China. Ours is tested for heavy metals, herbicides, pesticides, plastics. I mean, a whole list of long plastics. All sorts of other contaminants, any kind of toxins that might be in it, phosphobides. You know, we've full testing. It's as clean as can be, and it's grown into really a clean environment, in a controlled environment, outside in natural sunlight. Okay, that's the key.
Because most chlorella comes from Asia, there are many concerns about Fukushima radiation contamination.
Well, that's about as misleading as you could possibly get. Radiation from Japan, radiation from Fukushima. Okay, that's 1,500 miles to the north and east of Taiwan, where mine comes from, where I import our chlorella. We get from Taiwan Chlorella Manufacturing Company. So that radiation would have to circle the globe, go all the way around, and then go 1,500 miles south to be able to get to Taiwan. Now, we've got radiation certificates, and I'll show you those right now, and been tested for radiation. And also, there are radiation monitors all over Taiwan that you can see, and they're constantly monitoring radiation, and they're all green, which means no radiation. So Fukushima, Japan, well, that's quite a stretch. That's kind of a scare tactic.
All the growth, cultivation, and other processing of the chlorella that we offer are all done in a controlled environment. Additionally, since the chlorella is cultivated in a sterilized environment, the risk of heavy metal and other contamination is significantly reduced.
Now, this fermentation process is not like a regular fermented food where you end up with a like sauerkraut or kimchi or anything where you've fermented a food and now it's got all this healthy bacteria in it. It's just really totally different. And quite frankly, the details of chlorella fermentation are really, really sketchy. If you really want to dig and look for that, good luck. You're not going to easily find the answers to the questions you're looking for out there. There's all sorts of rumors about it, and there's rumors about it because they're really not forthcoming about how the process is done and how long it takes and whether it's boiled or not. Fermented chlorella for a long time, they weren't controlling the phenophobites. And the phenophobites get on your, it can lead to skin rashes and that kind of stuff. So they started boiling it, as I said. But even that, we don't know really what's going on, what the inputs are, what the ingredients are. It absolutely can't be grown organically. We know that for a fact. And we don't know what other portions of the process goes on, how long it takes to ferment the chlorella, and what's going on with it. So it's a completely unnatural thing. Now, I've said this before. Is it a bad product? Is it bad for you? No, it's not a bad product. It's not going to hurt you. I've taken fermented chlorella. I don't feel the same way. I don't really think it's the same thing. But don't tell me that this is vastly superior to the regular stuff, the other stuff that's grown outside, because this is easier to digest. Really? How are you going to prove that? Okay, they don't open the cell wall. You can't import anything into the chlorella into the U.S. that isn't cracked cell chlorella. I mean, this is the technology that everybody, we guard so secretly, and the whole key to the chlorella is opening up the cell wall. And here, either the cell wall is so soft to begin with, we don't even know what species this is, for sure. Again, rumors. It's vulgaris. No, it's not vulgaris. It's a different type of species. Just a lot of rumors and a lot of innuendo and a lot of things going on around this that we really don't have the hard answers to. Dr. Mercola, he shows you a few tanks and said, hey, look, it's a sterile environment. Ours is the cleanest on earth, easy to digest. You can't prove, number one, that it's easier to digest. You don't crack the cell wall. And if you want to get things out of a tank, okay, instead of growing it out in natural sunlight, and you're going to call it the same thing, it's not the same thing. It just isn't. There's no way. Dr. Bob McCauley, see you guys next time. Well, there's my 2 cents, and if you want to see some of my other videos on fermented chlorella, how they open the cell wall, knowing the source of your chlorella and spirulina, check them out, and you guys have a healthy day. I'll see you next time.